Welcome back, my beautiful patriots and nationalists of Ireland and abroad. My beautiful patriots, I had to readjust the sound on that last live stream, so I appreciate the love and support. You guys already had 5 live streamers. This one's going to be a good one today, guys. We have President Trump and Elon Musk in the Oval Office. That's from about a week ago. It's a bit slow, let's just say. Hold up. We have Trump and Musk talking about their relationship, media divide, and conquering, I'm guessing, Mars or something like that. And then we have, of course, the Gardai trying to spy on Gript, which we're going to have a few things to say about that one. That's going to be crazy, guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you guys enjoy these live streams. Make sure to follow me more, guys. Make sure to tell me what other live streams and what other things you all want me to talk about. And it'll be interesting to see how many live streaming people I get today, because I don't know why. I just haven't live streamed in a while. I just had no time. I'm trying to do personal training. I'm trying to do goddamn the YouTube as well. It's a lot of work, guys. All right, but fear not for me, okay, everybody. Don't feel too bad for me, okay? All right. If this camera messes up, I'm actually going to just throw it out the window. All right, because I needed a new camera for the last like 3 years. Lads. The camera is bollocks. But anyway. Let's keep it going.
And we're going to be signing a very important deal today. It's Doge, and I'm going to ask Elon to tell you a little bit about it and some of the things that we found, which are shocking. Billions and billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think it's very important. And that's one of the reasons I got elected. I said, we're going to do that. Nobody had any idea it was that bad, that sick, and that corrupt. And it seems hard to believe that judges want to try and stop us from looking for corruption, especially when we found hundreds of millions of dollars worth, much more than that, in just a short period of time. And we want to weed out the corruption. And it seems hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that. Well, so maybe we have to look at the judges, because that's very serious. I think it's a very serious violation. I'll ask Elon Musk to say a few words, and we'll take some questions. Elon, go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead, Elon.
So, at a high level, if you say what is the goal of Doge, and I think a significant part of this of presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, we'd have to. If you, sorry.
The kid is very wholesome. The kid's name is X, which, presumably I'm guessing he's named after the platform, the Twitter, previously known as Twitter, now known as X platform, right?
I tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy, we live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large unelected bureaucracy. This is not to say that there are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have one that is responsive to the people. That's the whole point of a democracy. And if you looked at if you looked at the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want, and it does not match the will of the people. So it's just something we've got to fix. And then we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit, and if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding that the interest payments alone on the national debt exceed the Defense Department budget, which is shocking.
That's huge money. I mean, this is massive. We're talking about trillions here. US is just crazy amount of money. Like, they could go bankrupt, he said. I mean, you know, the country itself, obviously, you know, even in Joe Biden's term, a lot of people say, oh, he did bad, did good, whatever you think. If you guys Democrat or Republican, like, he still managed the expenses really poorly, right? So now the country is in massive debt. So it's just like, that's why they're getting rid of US aid. They're getting rid of all this stuff because the country's just leaking money. It's like crazy, you know? It seems like everything that you hear about, the US just leaking money. It's just insane.
Because we've got we spend a lot of money on defense. But, and if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
I'm not going to guarantee you views.
Yeah,
I'm not going to guarantee you leads. I'm not going to guarantee you appointments. Hell, I'm not even...
Trump this time around, I think, because of the whole debt thing. Obviously, Elon Musk is getting rid of that. Really smart guy. Probably literally one of the smartest guys in the world. You know, obviously pretty autistic as well. Kind of funny. But, you know, because, you know, he says he does kind of wild shit, right? But, like, very smart guy. You know, he knows that the spending has to be stopped. And that's one of the things I was discussing. It's like, this is one of the things why Obama got rid of, basically, he stopped space spending. He said, no, we're not getting rid of NASA, but they kind of cut spending a lot during Obama's term. Same with Joe Biden a little bit. But now with Musk coming back, they're just pouring money into the space programs. I would almost be like, lads, like, you should probably stop pouring money into the fucking space program as well. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be like this massive space exploration guy. I think it's just kind of a waste of money. I think it's a bit of a psyop, honestly. Like, just me personally, I know people love space. It's great. You get good inventions out of it. You get good stuff out of it. But, like, it's a bit of, like, you know, not to stop it completely, but just, you know, as much as Obama was doing, I feel like now they're just spending money on space like crazy, you know.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about 30 million,
right,
etc.?
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that you know, there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth.
This is the thing, you know, when you see people like the Clintons, you know, Obama, these people were never massive business people. They were just regular politicians. Their salaries are a few $100,000. Same as the Irish politicians. Their salaries are maybe a few $100,000, but then they're worth millions. Like, where does that money come from? Like, it's all being like funded, like, you know, like, this is like people being funded by corporations to like prop them up, you know, because of their political sort of agendas, right?
While they are in that position, which is, you know, what happened at USAID, we're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But just there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it. So, you know, we're looking at, say, well, we just, if you look at, say Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place, that are in place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently. So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out the building. So you can't reconcile blank checks. You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list. And this, we're talking about terrorist organizations, we're talking about known fraudsters, known aspects of waste, known things that do not match any congressional appropriation, can take up to a year to get on the list, and even once on the list is not used. It's mind-blowing. So what we're talking about here, we're really just talking about adding common sense controls that should be present, that haven't been present. So you say, like, well, how could such a thing arise? That seems crazy. When you understand that really everything is geared towards complaint minimization, so then you understand the motivations. So if people receive money, they don't complain, obviously. But if people don't receive money, they do complain. And the fraudsters complain the loudest and the fastest. So then when you understand that, then it makes sense. Oh, that's why everything they approve all the payments at Treasury. Because if you approve all the payments, you don't get complaints.
Like, this is the thing. I understand exactly what he's talking about. This is very, kind of complex shit. But as well as like in the US, in Ireland, we have a lot of people, scammers, these people are just scumbags. People that are like taking the dole, the welfare for like a scam as well. I remember listening to RT or News, one of these mainstream platforms, they were saying that I think 44,000, maybe it was 44,000 people have been paid too much. I think it was like in 2019, this is a long time ago, 2018, something like that. So they got 44,000 people scammed the welfare system in Ireland, like, or they got paid too much, like way too much. People are getting paid millions. It's like, how the hell, like, you can't, like, it's such an abuse, egregious abuse of the welfare system. If I was in charge of Ireland, lads, honestly, I would have it so that you basically monitor the welfare payments like rigorously, you know what I mean? So like, people that are very, that don't get disability payment, that shouldn't be getting it, stuff like that,
But now we're saying that, no, actually, we are going to complain. If money is spent badly, if your taxpayer dollars are not spent in a sensible and frugal manner, then that's not okay. Your tax dollars need to be spent wisely on things that matter to the people.
True.
I mean, these things, like, it's just common sense. It's not draconian or radical, I think. It's really just saying, let's look at each of these expenditures and say, is this actually in the best interest of the people? And if it is, it's approved. If it's not, we should think about it. So, that's crazy.
I don't think anything they're doing is that radical. I know people get worked up, they get really emotional. I just don't think like cutting crazy spending to these sort of like, ideological, NGOs and stuff, it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, the gravy train has to end at some time, guys. Like when you're young and maybe your parents gave you like a little bit of money, like €10 a week. I didn't get that, but I know friends that had €10 a week. Like, that gravy train has to end. You eventually have to get your own job, get your own house. Like, it's such a minor inconvenience, but people like freak. Oh my god, I can't believe he's cutting our. But it's like, dude, like that the money has to come from somewhere. It's coming from taxpayers, and like funding, just stupid shit. Like, obviously they should be funding, starving kids in Africa. But they said, and this is the kicker, they said that, okay, we cut the funding to USAID, but we're going to bring it back. A lot of people didn't hear that second part. I just found that out today. They're actually bringing back the funding to the USAID. You can just Google it, lads. And so not that big of a deal. But they're just bringing it back to proper places that should be funded, not like bullshit,
Easy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay. They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. So, that's the case where, like, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess.
So people are scamming the system. They're still claiming Social Security, he said, which is welfare. That's welfare checks, yeah? Welfare payments, like the dole, like the stuff we have here in Ireland, right? So it's like welfare checks, but they're 150 years old. That's crazy. That's like complete illegal scamming stuff. 150 years old, that person is dead. That person's been dead for probably 50 years, probably 70 years,
Or they should be very famous, one of the two. And then there are a whole bunch of Social Security payments where there's no identifying information. Well, like, why is there no identifying information?
It's outrageous.
Obviously, we want to make sure that people who deserve to receive Social Security do receive it, and that they receive it quickly and accurately. I'll tell you another crazy thing. So, one of the things is, like, we are trying to sort of right-size the federal bureaucracy, just make sure that this. Obviously, there need to be a lot of people working for the federal government, but not as many as currently. So we're saying, let's, if people can retire, with full benefits and everything, that would be good. They can retire, get their retirement payments, everything. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we were told the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. Jeez. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And I'm like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards.
That's insane.
And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, then the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government.
That's great. This is the bullshit. Like, they need to. This is why Musk is good. They're just eradicating all the bullshit. They're getting rid of all the shit, mine shafts and all. Dude, you know, we need to make this fast. You know, this system needs to be updated. It's from 1955. He said. You know, it's now 2025. Like, we need to update these processes. You know, so people can retire quicker. So the government can make more money. So the government can turn over people quicker. Right. This is ludicrous, man. This is good that they're looking into this stuff. I mean, it's just a complete deep dive into the government crazy shit, right?
And the elevator breaks down sometimes, and then nobody can retire.
For some, it's just a heater switch.
Man, this is actually.
For others, it's survival.
This is like an SNL sketch.
In God.
Doesn't that sound crazy? There's like 1,000 people that work on this. So I think if we take those people and say, like, you know what, instead of working in a mine shaft and carrying manila envelopes to, you know, boxes in a mine shaft, you could do practically anything else, and you would add to the goods and services of the United States in a more useful way. So anyway, so I think, you know, that's an example. Like, at a high level, if you say, like, how do we increase prosperity, is we get people to shift from roles that are low to negative productivity to high productivity roles. And so you increase the total output of goods and services, which means that there's a higher standard of living available for everyone.
It makes sense. I don't know why people freak out over that. Like, why do people get upset about that? It's such common sense. It's just like, man, come on.
That's the actual goal. Everyone's very quiet, by the way. So people normally this quiet?
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
What?
Including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted. You know, we have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We won the House. We won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what the people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, you know, people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
Mr. Musk, the White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are, in effect, policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X and to the Doge website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't...
So yeah, they're saying that he's not doing it in a transparent way, but okay, I don't think posting it to X is that transparent because not everybody uses X. But he has an official website of Doge that you can go on and you can look at every single thing that happens. I don't know, man. Like, I just think that the freaking out is just not. It's not justified to be going crazy over this. I think this is pretty common sense to save money for the country. I mean, they have their best interests. China have their best interests at heart. Russia have their best interest. They put China first. Russia first. Fucking, whatever. Ghana first. Every country has their own. As their own people first, right? America first. Like, that's what they voted for. So it's not that crazy. I don't really see anything that crazy with that. I mean,
I think there's been, I don't know of a case that where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization. So, you know, and the kind of things we're doing are, I think, very, very simple and basic. They're not, you know, what I mentioned, for example, about Treasury, just making sure that payments that go out, taxpayer money that goes out, is categorized correctly, that the payment is explained, that organizations on the do not pay list, which takes a lot to get there, that actually are not paid, which currently they are paid. These are not individual judgment decisions. These are about simply having sensible checks and balances in the system itself to ensure that taxpayer money is spent well. So it's got nothing to do with, like, say, a contract with some company of mine at all.
But if there is a conflict of interest when it comes to you yourself, for instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts. When it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president I know has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say, like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, you know, there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately, you know?
Including you yourself.
Yes. But transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust. So not somebody saying they're trustworthy, but transparency, so you can see everything that's going on. And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not? It's totally obvious.
3, 2, 1.
And
On the latest edition of the Bloomberg Business Week podcast, a conversation with Max Chafkin of Business Week.
Also that Elon hasn't really mentioned are the groups of people that are getting some of these payments. They're ridiculous. And we're talking about billions of dollars that we've already found. We found fraud and abuse. I would say those.
And that's the main thing they're looking for, just fraud and abuse. Not that big of a deal. You know, they're trying to cut spending. Like I said, we have that here. There's nobody looking at anything. I think that Ireland, we have probably way more than the US, not in terms of money, but way more loopholes and way more crazy shit. People are getting disability payment that aren't disabled. People are getting money, you know, welfare money that they shouldn't be getting. You know, it's just crazy stuff. I think it's just like a free for all.
2 words as opposed to the third word that I usually use, but in this case, fraud and abuse. It's abusive because most of these things are virtually made up, or certainly money shouldn't be sent to them. And you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy. So, but we're talking about tens of billions of dollars that we've already found. And now a judge who's an activist judge wants to try and stop us from doing this. Why? Why would they want to do that? I campaigned on this. I campaigned on the fact that I said government is corrupt. And it is very corrupt. It's very, very, it's also foolish.
It's the most corrupt.
As an example, a man has a contract for 3 months and the contract ends, but they keep paying him for the next 20 years, you know, because nobody ends a contract. You got a lot of that. You have a contract that's a 3-month contract. Now, normally if you're in a small, in all fairness, it's the size of this thing is so big.
Yeah.
But if you have a contract and you're in a regular business, you end the contract in 3 months, you know it's a consultant. Here's a contract for 3 months, but it goes on for 20 years. And the guy doesn't say that he got money for 20 years, you know? They don't say it. They just keep getting checks month after month, and you have various things like that, and even much worse than that, actually, much worse. And I guess
I think with the introduction of the internet, not to sound like a boomer, but the fraud is probably just astronomical, lads. The fraud is probably astronomical all over the world.
Call that incompetence, maybe.
Yeah.
It could be corruption. It could be deals made on both sides, you know, where the guy gets the money, he kicks. I think there's a lot of kickback here. I see a lot of kickback here.
There's a lot of kickbacks.
Tremendous kickback, because nobody could be so stupid to give out some of these contracts,
Yeah.
so he has to get a kickback. So that's what I got elected for, that and borders and military and a lot of things, but this is a big part of it. And I hope that the court system is going to allow us to do what we have to do. We got elected to among other things, find all of this fraud, abuse, all of this horrible stuff going on. And we've already found billions of dollars, not like a little bit, billions, many billions of dollars. And when you get down to it, it's going to be probably close to $1 trillion. It could be close to $1 trillion that we're going to find. That will have quite an impact on the budget. And you'll go to a judge where they handpick a judge, and he has certain leanings. I'm not knocking anybody for that, but he has certain leanings, and he wants us to stop looking.
So yeah, the judge is basically trying to intervene in this kind of stop unnecessary spending and fraud, unless you're doing it yourself. But yeah.
Are you passionate about golf? Do you know that this sport has so many aspects in common?
It's crazy.
How do you stop looking? I mean, we've already found it. We have a case in New York where a hotel has paid $59 million, $59 million because it's housing migrants, illegal migrants, all illegal, I believe.
And they were being paid twice the normal room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable.
So it's a racket.
Mr. Musk, I'm ask a question.
That is just insane, guys.
Well, if I may sort of just going for the president's comments, at a high level, you say, well, what are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1 trillion? And it's really two things: competence and caring. And if you add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half. And I fully expect to be scrutinized and get a daily proctology exam, basically. Might as well just camp out there. So it's not like I think I can get away with something. I'll be scrutinized nonstop. But with the support of the president, we can cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1, and then with deregulation, because there's a lot of sort of regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to free the builders of America to build. And if we do that, that means I think we can get the economic growth to be maybe 3-4%, maybe 5%. And that means if you can get $1 trillion of economic growth and you cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion, between now and next year, there is no inflation. There's no inflation in 26.
Wow, that's great.
And if the government is not borrowing as much, it means that interest costs decline. So everyone's, the mortgage, their car payment, their credit card bills, anything, their student debt, the monthly payments drop. That's a fantastic scenario.
Hey, one thing, guys. Next 4 years, if you want to get rich, I think it's the best time in the world. I don't think any other time ever will be better to make a lot of money than this next 4 years. Like, this is incredible what he's talking about. Wow.
For the average American.
And the average American also, it leads on to the average person in Europe as well, and the rest of the world, because their economy, pushes the world economy as well. Okay.
I mean, imagine they're going down the grocery aisle, and the prices from one year to the next are the same, and their mortgage, all their debt payments dropped. How great is that for the average American?
It's amazing.
We had no idea we were going to find this much. And it's open. It's not like complicated. It's not simple stuff. It's like,
a lot of work. Yeah.
We can't believe it. A lot of work, a lot of smart people involved. Very, very smart people. But you're talking about anywhere, maybe $500 billion. It's crazy the kind of numbers you're talking about.
At 500 billion, like that's just, oh man. I mean, the spending is just the unnecessary spending that the U.S. do. It's just like ridiculous, man. I think people knew this kind of low key. Like, if you ever looked into basic economics, like, oh man, the spending is astronomical.
Normally when you're looking at something, you'll find you're looking for 1 out of 100. Here, you're almost reversing it. You look for one that's good.
Yes.
And you can look at the title and you say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And the public gets it. The public gets it. You've seen the polls. The public is saying, why are we paying all this money? This for years, this has gone on.
President Trump,
Yeah, go ahead. Wait, go ahead.
Senator Rand Paul today said that Doge cuts will ultimately need a vote in Congress. Do you agree with that? Is that the plan?
I really don't know. I know this. We're finding tremendous fraud and tremendous abuse. If I need a vote of Congress to find fraud and abuse, it's fine with me. I think we'll get the vote, although there'll be some people that wouldn't vote. And how could a judge want to hold us back from finding all of this fraud and finding all of this incompetence?
The reason why is because the judge and stuff, they all think it's like, politically motivated stuff, but it's not really. You have people from all walks of life, left, right, libertarian, flipping everyone. but they're all I'm sure not every single person that is in Trump's cabinet or in the flipping people that are helping to run Doge are 100%, conservative, let's say. I'm pretty sure there's more walks of life. I mean, I'd hope so. Jesus, like, not everyone could be the same, straight person conservative. I mean, it just seems ludicrous.
Why would that happen? Why would even Congress want to do that? Now, Congress, if we do need a vote, I think we'd get a very easy vote because we have a track record now. We've already found billions of dollars of abuse, incompetence, and corruption.
Crazy.
A lot of corruption.
If a judge does block one of your policies, part of your agenda, will you abide by that ruling? Will you comply?
Well, I always abide by the courts, and then I'll have to appeal it. But then what he's done is he slowed down the momentum. And it gives crooked people more time to cover up the books. If a person's crooked and they get caught, other people see that, and all of a sudden it becomes harder later on. So, yeah, the answer is I always abide by the courts, always abide by them, and will appeal. But appeals take a long time, and I would hope that a judge, if you go into a judge and you show him, here's a corrupt situation, we have a check to be sent, but we found it to be corrupt. Do you want us to send this corrupt check to a person, or do you want us not to give it and give it back to the taxpayer? I would hope a judge would say, don't send it, give it back to the taxpayer.
Yeah, if I can add to that, what we're finding is that a bunch of the fraud is not even going to Americans. So I think we can all agree that if there's going to be fraud, it should at least go to Americans. But a bunch of the fraud rings that are operating in the United States and taking advantage of the federal government, especially in the entitlements programs, are actually foreign fraud rings. They're operating in other countries and actually exporting money to other countries.
Whether you're working remote, working from home, or working from the other side of the country, it can be tricky to grow.
Oh my God.
We should stop that.
Mr.
and this is big numbers. We're talking about $100 to $200 billion a year. Serious money.
Mr. Musk, you said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact-check this, it apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really an enormous number of condoms, if you think about it.
Like 50, do you need 50 million for condoms? Like, what? That seems like insane. Like, what the hell? 50 million euro? Like, does that?
But, if it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
Mr. Musk, can you talk a little bit about how closely you're working with agency heads as you're directing these cuts? Do they have how much input do agency heads have when you're making these decisions?
Yeah, we work closely with the agency heads, there are sort of checks in place. So it's not just us just going in and doing things willy-nilly. It's in partnership with the agency heads, and I check frequently with the president to make sure that this is what the president wants to have happen. So we talk almost every day, and I double check things to make sure, is this something, Mr. President, do you want us to do this? We'll do it.
USAID has been one of your main targets. Are you concerned at all that some of the cuts or that shutting that agency altogether may lead to diseases or other bigger problems starting in other countries that then come to the United States?
Yeah, so that's...
And obviously, like, USAID, it should be fueling, starving kids in Africa and shit like that. Nobody's going to disagree with that, but like I said, there was millions upon millions of goddamn, money being spent on just bullshit. Like, just complete nonsense. So, to look into that was a good idea. Like, absolutely was a good idea.
It's an interesting example. So that's something where we work closely with the State Department and Secretary Rubio. And we have, for example, turned on funding for Ebola prevention and for HIV prevention.
Left that, you said?
Yes, correct. And we are moving fast, so we will make mistakes, but we'll also fix the mistakes very quickly. So,
do you see it as a worthy cause, USAID?
I think that there's some worthy things, but overall, if you say what is the bang for the buck, I would say it was not very good. And there was far too much of what USAID was doing was influencing elections in ways that I think were dubious and do not stand the light of day.
I can just ask a follow-up to the Pentagon contracts. If you have received billions of dollars in contracts from the Pentagon, and the president's directing you to look into the Department of Defense, is that a conflict of interest?
Are going to do at the president's request.
Does that present a conflict?
So like I said in the beginning, they are moving really fast. They're trying to cut spending. But, once they make cuts that they're not actually, fond of, let's say they make a bad cut, okay, they stop spending on starving kids in Mali, let's say, oh shit, we didn't mean to do that, then they start the spending back on that again. It seems pretty simple. They make mistakes, but then they're just gonna, review it and then get back to it. And it makes perfect sense.
Of interest for you?
No, because you'd have to look at the individual contract and say, first of all, I'm not the one, filing the contract. It's people at SpaceX or someone who will be putting for the contract. And I'd like to say, if you see any contract where where it was awarded to SpaceX and it wasn't by far the best value for money for the taxpayer, let me know, because every one of them was.
The president said the other day that you might look at treasuries. Could you explain that a little bit? What kind of fraud, and that question goes to both of you, what kind of fraud are you expecting to see or do you see right now in U.S. treasuries?
Yeah, I think you mean the Treasury Department as opposed to Treasury bills, or...
You also referenced treasuries on Air Force One the other night.
Go ahead.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, really, the first order of business is to make sure we're actually collecting... Sorry for this. I thought my son might enjoy this, but he's sticking his fingers in my ears and stuff. So it's a bit hard to hear some...
Very, very wholesome moment. No sniffing of the kids, just, just playful. That's a shot at Joe Biden, but it's kind of true.
Hey, stop that. No, the stuff we're doing with the Treasury Department is so basic that you can't believe it doesn't exist already. So for example, like I mentioned, just making sure that when a payment goes out, it has to have a payment categorization code. It's like, what type of payment is this? You can't just leave the field blank. Currently, many payments, the field is left blank. And you have to describe what's the payment for, some basic rationalization. That also is left blank. So this is why, the Pentagon, when's the last time the Pentagon passed an audit? I mean, a decade ago, maybe? Ever? Really? And we want to, just in order to actually pass audits, you have to have financial information that allows you to trace the payments. And once in a while, the Treasury has to pause payments if it thinks the payment is going to a fraudulent organization. Like, if a company or an organization is on a do not pay list, we should not pay it. I'm sure you would agree. Like, if it's quite hard to get on that payment, the do not pay list, it means that this is someone that is like dead people, terrorists, known fraudsters, that kind of thing. We should not pay them. But currently we do, which is crazy. We should stop that.
Many transactions. And by the way, hundreds, thousands of transactions like that. We have a big team. And
Whoa, just a second there, cowboy.
I mean, this
Let me tell you something.
20 spending just gets cut way down. For sure, it'd be amazing.
For the sake of the country, I hope that the person that's in charge and the other people that report to me that are in charge are allowed to do the right thing, namely make sure everything's honest, legitimate, and competent. But we're looking at just, when you look at USAID, that's one. We're going to look at the military. We're going to look at education. They're much bigger areas. But the USAID is really corrupt. I'll tell you, it's corrupt. It's incompetent, and it's really corrupt. And I can't imagine a judge saying, well, it may be corrupt, but you don't have the right. You got elected to look over the country and to, as we say, make America great again, but you don't have the right to go and look and see whether or not things are right that they're paying or that things are honest that they're paying. And nobody can even believe this. Other people, law professors, they've been saying, how can you take that person's right away? You're supposed to be running the country, but we're not allowed to look at who they're paying it to and what they're paying. We have massive amounts of fraud that we caught. I think we probably caught way over a lot of billions of dollars already in, 2 weeks?
Yes.
And it's going to go to numbers that you're not going to believe. And much, as I said, much is incompetence and much is dishonesty. We have to catch it. And the only way we're going to catch it is to look for it. And if a judge is going to say you're not allowed to look for it, that's pretty sad for our country.
That's insane. That's insane. They should absolutely be allowed to look for it. I mean, at the very least, to look for the leaking. You know, the leaking of money is astronomical.
I don't understand how it could even work.
All right, I'm going to move on from that one, lads. We'll move on to this one. So this is a story by Gript on their YouTube channel. Shout out to Gript. They always supported me by having their videos. But I was listening to their podcast recently. I might as well just play this one up. I actually didn't watch this one yet, but there was 2 of these videos. Let's hear exactly what happened first, and then I might just skip over that Trump video. Anyway, yeah, this one is closer to home anyway, so you know what I mean. Reacting to a lot of Trump and Elon Musk is a bit it's a bit kind of it's a bit kind of it's not as relevant, okay, to somebody that's not living there, so this might be a little bit more relevant to us. So let's hear what this says. So the Gardai tried to spy us. 26 million views, or 26,000 views, 26 million views. What the hell am I talking about? Okay, let's hear it. So this guy is the leader, editor, Gript, John McGurk. Tried to speaks on the attempt by Gardai Khan to covertly obtain Gript Media's data and spy on its communications. Let's hear about it.
Hello, my name is John McGurk. I'm the editor of Gript Media here in Ireland. Last week, American Vice President J.D. Vance attended the Munich Security Conference, in which he gave a speech outlining what he saw as some of the major threats to European security. He said that increasingly many of these threats come from within, an increasingly censorious attitude to political debates, an increasing comfort with censoring political opponents, and an increased openness to taking previously inconceivable steps, like censoring or overturning the results of elections. At Gript Media, here in Ireland, we have been raising these issues for a number of years. We have written and talked consistently about the atmosphere of fear that sometimes overclouds political debate. People who feel that they cannot say that they think there is too much immigration into the country. People who fear that they cannot talk about levels of crime. People who think that their free speech is slowly being eroded and that in order to stay safe in their jobs, they must adhere to a particular vision of political discussion and debate. It is therefore disturbing that at about the same time that Vice President Vance was making that speech in Munich, we at Gript Media were learning that we had been the targets ourselves of an attempt which I consider to be an attack on the free press. In June of last year, the Irish police force on Gardai Khan went to a Dublin court seeking an order which would force X, the social media platform, to hand over all of Gript Media's personal data to them.
Oh wow. So I actually still don't understand what this means. Maybe somebody from Gript will come on my channel and explain it to me. I know it's pretty simple, but it says here under the section 63(1) of the Criminal Justice Act, 13th of June 1924, they want to see about an incident at Newtown Mount Kennedy in Wicklow, a public place where persons involved engage in criminal conduct. Okay, so the reasons are grounds for suspect that the videos posted on X, social media platform, evidence in relation to the offences which are under investigation will assist and identify suspects who engage in criminal conduct. Now this one is actually, I don't know, people might get mad at this, like, but I don't know, like, why they didn't just, like, go to Gript and be like, here, lads, like, let's just have all the videos. Can we just, because, I mean, I'm sure Gript probably posted all their videos to social media. I don't know why they even went looking for it any more. I mean, any content that I record, I just post to the internet. Like, I'm not going to be recording for my own good, you know, unless it's, like, talking to the camera, talking shite. But if it's some, like, footage that you got from some place, I'm pretty sure you're going to, like, post all the footage to your X. But they said that they had more. They wanted to use the evidence to convict people Oh. Yeah, Gardai. Oh, yeah, thank you. So Gardai went to X to get internal access to Gript's tweets. Yeah. So, to internal access. What does that even... Yeah. Yeah, they wanted to get... But doesn't X just post everything to their actual platform? I just don't understand. I don't know.
Private data. My IP address. Yeah.
Oh, so, okay, this is what they want. Okay, my bad. I I spoke too soon. So they wanted to get their subscriber registration details and so they wanted to get the people who subscribe to Gript. Oh man, that's wild. So they wanted to get people that I don't subscribe. I mean, am I subscribed? I'm subscribed to the YouTube channel. Subscribe registration and IP access to log on and access details related to X account by Gript Media, including their NAT port associated with IP address, which may have been logged on. All available X account content on dates between 25th of April and 28th of April, including messages, attachments, posts, videos, whether opened or not, any stored copies of sent, received direct messages. Oh shit. They're going to start scouring through the messages. And attachment videos posted and all other information held on X. I mean, the thing is, because Gript is like an official news platform, that's why they wanted to do that. Like, if it was just the average person, which, by the way, they already have access to everything. If you guys ever heard of Pegasus, you know, all the US have that anyway, and, you know, the FBI, I'm pretty sure Interpol have that shit as well. They can just look through your messages. There's no privacy. Since 2012, if anyone thinks they have privacy, you don't have privacy. That's like, so I knew this for last, since 2012, guys. This is a pretty common fact. Like, you're basically WhatsApp, all your WhatsApp messages, all your Facebook messages, all that stuff is all monitored. So, that's how they catch people, and I mean, there's no privacy, guys. So I don't know what you're looking for privacy for, but yeah, they said that they went and okay, yeah, they didn't get it though. They actually got rejected because Twitter brought them to court. So crazy stuff.
The IP addresses of all my colleagues, all the private messages that have been sent to us, both from supporters, readers, or in some cases sources alike.
If you just read my direct messages on Instagram or on X, it would just be people sending gym memes. Like, just dumb shit.
Part of what they said was a criminal investigation into an immigration protest that took place in Newtownland, Kennedy, Ireland, in April of last year. We had
but sure, the pictures are right there. All the pictures of the lads are right there. Apart from the lads covering their face up, all the evidence is right there.
In April of last year, we had covered that protest. One of our reporters had been pepper sprayed in the course of our work. The Irish state used a law, Section 62 it is called, which was originally designed to prosecute and investigate the activities of drug dealers, international terrorists, and money launderers, except in this case, they directed it against a media outlet on the very flimsy pretext that we might have some evidence connecting somebody somewhere to that crime. And for that, they wanted to peer into our private data without our knowledge. I want to be very clear about this. We were given no opportunity to defend ourselves or the rights of our readers in court. We were given no opportunity to respond with legal arguments. We are only aware of this because X and its management team have taken the proactive step of letting us know exactly what the Irish state was up to and what they have been seeking from us, and God knows from how many other people. It is very telling that when the Irish police...
So they said it was like done on 10 people that day. So whoever was at that riot, prison time for you.
Police were challenged on the legality of their act by X. They backed down. They decided not to pursue it, and therefore I'm happy to report that none of our material was handed over to them, nor will it be. This is a responsibility I take very seriously. In journalism, it is very important to defend your sources, to defend your readers, and defend the rights of those who work for you, up and until the point of going to prison, which I am prepared to do if necessary. But I wanted to make the...
Okay, this man is standing on his principle. He's standing on business, guys. He's willing to go to jail. He's willing to go to prison. Okay.
This short video today to let you know exactly what's been happening in Ireland. I think it fits very well into the theme of what Vice President Vance was talking about last week. I think when you have a police force in a country with a serious problem with increasing levels of crime, especially violent crime, devoting energy and efforts to try and peer into the private messages of the only truly independent and non-state funded national media platform in their own country, we've got a serious problem here.
That's a good one. Hold on, he said a lot of words there. The only independent non-state funded because obviously RT gets 725 million euro state funded, which is just ludicrous. I mean, lads, if I had like 2 million a year, I'd have the biggest YouTube channel. I would have the biggest platform in the whole country by a mile. RT doesn't even pull that many numbers, and they have funding of 725 million. If I had 5 million per year, I'd have the biggest channel. I'd hire my friend. He's a flipping genius. Like down the road from me, we'd have the biggest channel ever. The fact that they have all this money is just, it's just crazy, man. And they can't even get that many viewers. It's just like, because they're so biased. They're so RT, I'm talking about, and all these different platforms. Gript is, I don't know who funds them either. I'm not. Someone left a comment like, "Oh, who funds them?" That's a fair question, but I'm pretty sure they're funded by the people. Yeah, they're funded by like selling T-shirts and mugs, hats. Oh no, they don't sell hats. Yeah, Ben Scanlon said that they don't sell hats, but they sell all like merchandise. So they're funded by the people. They get subscriptions from the people. So they're not funded, which is good. Like, I don't want a platform funded by billionaires, because then it's like, obviously they have a bias, in their leadership, and in their reporting. I want independent journalism, like myself. I'm an independent journalist now. Okay, County Gaines, independent journalist. Thank you very much.
Into the private messages of the only truly independent and non-state funded national media platform in their own country, we've got a serious problem here. And that's why I'm very grateful to our supporters, the people who subscribe to Gript and keep us going without any state funding, unlike our competitors, for their continued support. I'm also immensely grateful to X and its management for the proactive steps they have taken in Europe to defend press freedom. And I am grateful too, I have to say, to Vice President Vance for that speech. And I think it was timely that he made it, just as the consequences of the very issues he was talking about were coming home for us. So that's it. That's my update. There'll be more from us across our social media channels and our website and our other platforms in the days ahead. But for now, I just wanted to say thank you.
Okay. Seems seems like a pretty genuine guy. I think that's a pretty genuine kind of, response to, looking into your material. So let's hear here to this one. Gardai trying to spy on Gript is extremely dangerous, says TD. Who's this TD? Minister for Justice needs Ken O'Flynn. Okay, let's hear what he has to say about this one.
It was revealed that Garda Síochána had attempted to spy on Gript Media's private correspondence using a court order that was not revealed to us. We only know this because the ex-company revealed it to us, and who knows how many other outlets they tried to do this with. I'm wondering if I could get your reaction to that story.
I was quite surprised when I heard that story. I thought it was very unusual, to say the least. When I have great respect for Garda Síochána, but I have also great respect for this.
Yeah, me too. Like I think, I don't know, people hate the guards and stuff. I don't hate the guards at all. At all. I think they should be doing, more. But with stuff like that, it's hard to, I don't necessarily agree with that, obviously, because that's kind of like, they should have like CCTV, and they should have their own body cam footage. And, it's a little bit like, if they want to prosecute people, that shouldn't really be done through just social media personnel. That should be done through their own resources. Like, I don't know. It's a weird one.
When I heard that story, I thought it was very unusual, to say the least. When I have great respect for Garda Síochána, but I have also great respect for this media outlet and other media outlets. And I don't think going behind media companies' backs, trying to get injunctions, trying to find out their personal information, the information of, and trying to go through people's emails accounts, going through who's sending the messages, who their sources are, is very, very concerning. And I suppose the minister really needs to come out and make a statement about this, because this is about our media. This is about the media who holds the entire country to account. That tells the truth. Whether it's your outlet or somebody else's outlet, journalists are reporting on the fact. We should never have the guards involved with the Fourth Estate. I don't believe that this was the correct procedure at all to be carried out. I think it was very, very heavy-handed and extremely dangerous and very worrying. I think the Minister for Justice needs to make a statement on this.
The Minister for Justice was saying last night that he wasn't actually familiar with the case. He was asked about it on Virgin Media, and he says, "Oh well, I wish you told me in advance. I'm not aware of what's going on."
The website Gript today published a Gardai order that had been secured through the courts last year, where the guards were effectively looking for permission to access their Twitter or X DMs to try and identify.
Yeah, so that's the whole, basically, for those who care. Okay, a lot of people in this country do care. The main issue with that is they want to get access to their DMs. Now, obviously, the average person, like I said, you're getting like gym memes and you're getting just bullshit, like talking shite to people. It's just bullshit, right? The average person, like on the street or whatever, they wouldn't have to worry about that. But for a media outlet, because they're, they get funding from people. It's a lot of private information for a media outlet. Especially a big media outlet. I'm pretty sure Gript are actually the biggest media outlet in the country. They get the most views on YouTube that I see. I think they get the most views more than anyone, as a matter of fact, that I see. And I'm pretty good with the analytics on YouTube. They get more views than anybody. RT, Virgin Media, News Talk. They get more than all those people combined, and they have a more growing subscriber base. It'd be kind of unfair to delve into their DMs. It's a bit like seeing their privacy. And without even having them know, if they went to Gript and said, hey, can we have a look? Maybe we see this guy, he killed somebody, but short of that, guys, or some crazy heinous crime, if the Gardai were looking, that would be like obstruction of crime. But this is just to look at the DMs. This is not that I know of anyway, not like a serious crime that happened, right? They burnt down the place. I don't agree with that either. You know what I mean? But it's quite private. Looking into your company's DMs is a bit wild.
So I'm not aware of what's going on.
The website Gript today published a Gardai order that had been secured through the courts last year, where the guards were effectively looking for permission to access their Twitter or X DMs to try and identify sources about their coverage of protests in Newtown Mount Kennedy last year. The only reason why the sources were not revealed is because X, the website itself, refused to comply with that order. Is it the policy of Garda Síochána to try and find out Garda sources through court means?
Well, sorry, I hadn't got any notification about this. I would have appreciated if you told me in advance. I would have tried to follow it up. I know very little about it. There was an application.
Hey, that'll tell you how good and thorough the Tonight Show is. They're shitbags as well. They didn't even tell the minister the questions. You don't be telling the lad everything, but he's supposed to know the gist of what you're going to ask him. Hey, we're going to ask you about this. We're going to ask you about this. Ask them, tell them a little bit about what we're going to be talking about tonight, okay? Just the stories. Don't have to give them exact questions, but just kind of the roundabout, this is the first time he's hearing about it. Why didn't they tell him beforehand? Virgin Media, obviously not very thorough.
If you told me in advance, I would have tried to follow it up. I know very little about it. There was an application made to the High Court by the Garda Síochána?
To the district courts.
To the district court. Well, if it's an application to the district court, there is the system there of judicial oversight. There's obviously a provision in the legislation that permits the Gardaí to make that application. If the courts don't think it is appropriate, it won't be granted.
Are you comfortable in principle, though, with that provision being used to try and identify journalist sources?
Well, I think if you look in our legal system and the jurisprudence of the courts, journalist sources are protected. It's not just journalist sources. We've also had decisions of the superior courts where individuals who've come to members of the Oireachtas have had their identity protected. So I think it is very important to protect the identity of sources. But on the other side, you have to balance up, well, what is the conflicting objective being pursued? Is there an issue in respect of crime? Is there an issue in terms of trying to identify, and we're not saying this applies in this situation at all, but you could have a situation whereby there's important information that can be accessed in respect to the commission of a crime, and that may justify the Gardaí looking for it. I haven't had any information about it. I'll look it up, but the good thing from what you say is that there's a court process and a district court judge will be appraising the application, and I can guarantee you there'll be judicial oversight of that.
And do you believe that this was a story that was trending all day yesterday?
Well, that either tells you two things. The minister is not on top of his brief, or the minister isn't up to the job. So you take a pick of what that is.
Yeah, so he didn't even know about that. Okay, that's even worse, actually. So the minister didn't even know about that, even though that's like his job is to know about those trending stories. I suppose, and I take that back from Virgin Media, but still, Virgin Media is shit anyways. But yeah, man, that's so weird. How did he not know the most trending story of that day? That's crazy. That's all over X, right?
So, and I'd hope to say, I hope that maybe he just wasn't on top of his job today. But that's very, very worrying. If a minister doesn't know what's happening in his own country, what's happening in his own department, what's happening where he's responsible for. Like, I'm sorry, busy is your job. You're paid to be busy. Busy is your job.
Thank you so much, Deputy Rudy.
You should elect me for Minister for Justice. Anyway, go over to Gript Media and check them out. You know, I always want to support people that actually give you a fair... You know, I want to give people support that actually, you know, give a fair support to me as well. But yeah, crazy stuff, guys. That was actually a wild one. We'll go back to Trump and Musk, I suppose. Not much else to do on that front. I'm not sure if this is actually good to go. But anyways, we have Trump, Musk talking about their relationship. This one happened today, a few hours ago, and it's 3 million views. Let's hear what they have to say about it.
I've got to start with this. So he's working for free with Doge. He's kind of put a lot of his life on hold. And you sued Twitter a number of years ago. You just made him pay you $10 million?
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
Well,
That's
right. I sued from long before he had it.
Yeah.
And I mean, they really did a number on me, you know. And I sued, and they had to pay. They paid $10 million settlement.
You're okay with that?
I mean, I left it up to the lawyers and you know the team running Twitter. So I said, you guys do what you think is the right. It makes sense.
I think it's funny.
I think it's a very low. I was looking to get much more money than that.
So you gave him a discount when the lawsuit.
He got a big discount. I don't think he even knows about it.
He's become one of your. If you read and believe the media, he's become one of your best friends. He's working for free for you.
Well, I love the president. I just want to be clear about that.
You don't care about that.
I know. I love the president.
You love the president.
I think President Trump is a good man, and he's, you know.
It's nice the way he said that. You know, there's something nice about it.
It really is. You know, because I mean, the president's been so unfairly attacked in the media. It's really outrageous. And I've at this point spent a lot of time with the president, and not once have I seen him do something that was mean or cruel or wrong. Not once.
You know, I've known him for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody take as much as he's taken.
Yeah.
And we've discussed this, and I'm like, how do you deal with it?
Did I have a choice?
Well, you would say that to me. I'm like, what am I going to do? Worry about it? And, you know, and then culminating in 2 assassination attempts, which resulted in your endorsement.
Well, I was going to do it anyway, but that was
it.
Precipitating event, yes.
That speeded it up a little bit?
Yeah.
The day of the assassination.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It sped it up, but I was going to do it anyway.
Mr. President, with your indulgence, I'm convinced that people only know a little bit about Elon. I don't think they know everything about Elon, because as I studied and prepared for this interview, I learned a lot about you that I didn't know. I think people will think about Tesla. Democrats are demonizing you and trying to make the country hate you. I just want people to understand you a little bit better, and the person that you've gotten to know and have now put a lot of trust in.
Yeah.
And, you know, just let's go over a little bit of your bio, starting with PayPal and how you became involved in Tesla and SpaceX and
Yeah, he invented PayPal, then he moved on to Tesla, SpaceX, and now he's, I'm pretty sure, the biggest astronaut-funded guy in the world. So he's the biggest space program in the world. He runs the biggest space program ever, so it's pretty crazy.
Link and all these.
A while. I mean, you know, I think the way to think of me is like I'm a technologist, and I try to make technologies that improve the world and make life better.
Your shirt.
Yeah, and that's why I like my T-shirt says tech support, because I'm here to provide the president with technology support. And now that may seem like, well, is that a silly thing? But actually, it's a very important thing, because
it's like the son helping your dad or helping granddad with his, like, you know, his phone or his computer, because Trump is too old. He doesn't know about that stuff. So Elon Musk steps in. He's like, okay, well, the world is so digital nowadays. I'm gonna now help push the digital aspect, right?
Because the president will make these executive orders, which are very sensible and good for the country, but then they don't get implemented, you know? So if you take, for example, all the funding for the migrant hotels, the president issued an executive order, hey, we need to stop taking taxpayer money and paying for luxury hotels for illegal immigrants, which makes no sense. Like, so obviously people do not want their tax dollars going to fund high-end hotels for illegals. And yet they were still doing that, even as late as last week. And so, we went in there and we're like, this is in violation of the presidential executive order. It needs to stop. So what we're doing here is one of the biggest functions of the Doge team is just making sure that the presidential executive orders are actually carried out. And this is, I just want to point out, this is a very important thing because the president is the elected representative of the people. So he's representing the will of the people. And if the bureaucracy is fighting the will of the people and preventing the president from implementing what the people want, then what we live in is a bureaucracy and not a democracy.
You're both.
Hey, he's a very smart guy. I mean, and that's putting it in simple terms for people like me. I'm not like, brainiac or anything like that. But it's pretty simple terms. It's not a democracy. It's bureaucracy, right? And because Trump is supposed to lead the people now for the next 4 years, as did Joe Biden, as did flipping Obama, as did Bush Jr., Bush Sr., Clinton. We can keep going back in the presidents, guys. But it's like, yeah, they're supposed to lead the people. But if they're getting blocked in every which way, I mean, it's just crazy, man. This has definitely been the biggest. This has definitely been the biggest flipping year ever, man. The shit that's been happening is just, making waves around the world.
Both aware, you have to be keenly aware that the media and the punditry class, not that, I think you've proven they have no power anymore because they threw everything they had at you and they didn't win. And that was, the New York Times, Washington Post, 3 networks, every late night comedy show, 2 cable channels. They threw everything, lawfare, weaponization.
Sure.
And now I see they want you two to start, they want a divorce. They want you two to start hating each other.
Yeah.
And they try.
What they do is, and this is for people as well, this is just for your friends or, the people your colleagues at work, if you guys, work with people at work, they try and divide you guys. They try and isolate you and divide you from other people. So they'll start talking shit, they'll make rumors, they'll just bullshit, right? They'll do shit like that, guys, right? And when you wake up to that, you can never fall asleep again. You're like, oh, okay. It's all to bring your confidence down. When your confidence is at 10, like my fucking confidence is, you guys can't bring my confidence down. I don't give a shit, right? But what they try and do is they try and bring your confidence down because they're little bitches. They're over here, little beta boys. Same as like the media, Washington. All these people are trying to bring down the king, which is, Elon Musk and Trump, right? But they don't do that for people, the puppets. They didn't do that for Biden. They didn't really do that too much for Obama because these people are kind of like a little bit puppets. Whereas Trump isn't really a politician, so they don't like what he's doing, so they just throw everything at you. Okay, if you guys ever want to pursue entrepreneurialism in your life or do anything outside the norm, become a musician, I don't know, become an actor, do anything like that. Your friends, guys, even if they still, they don't say it to your face, they just hate your ass. And I was watching, remember the very first one, they're just going to hate you. They're going to try and put a divide between you because they're losers. They're doing nothing. They're winning. Elon Musk is getting rid of all the shit, right? Draining all this shit from the government. And people don't like that. People get pissed off about that. They'll be like, oh my God, the losers will hate you, but the winners, the flipping alphas around you will love that. They'll actually gravitate towards you. And you can't fall asleep again. Once that happens, guys, it's done. It's over with. And, the people that do nothing and stuff just will fall off. The winners will keep rising. And that's basically just life, man. You know what I mean? That's life, how it goes, man, unfortunately.
Oh, President Elon Musk, for example. You do know that they're doing that to you.
Oh, I see it all the time. They tried it, then they stopped. That wasn't. They have many different things of hatred. Actually, Elon called me. He said, they're trying to drive us apart. I said, absolutely. They said, we have breaking news. Donald Trump has ceded control of the presidency to Elon Musk. President Musk will be attending a cabinet meeting tonight at 8 o'clock.
One thing losers hate, guys, and this is one thing I've noticed in the last 4 years, let's say. Losers hate male camaraderie, especially like with your brother or with like a family member. They hate that you're with your family, great relationship with your family. They hate that you have a great relationship with your brother, you know, whatever, your cousins. They hate that, guys. These two people obviously aren't family, but they're two men, masculine men. You know, they're basically ruling over the flipping world right now. People hate that. They hate to see a guy in power. They call it, oh, he's authoritarian, and they start throwing words at you. Right wing, he's this, he's this. Dude, you guys gotta mentally just rise above all that shit. You know, the hate that you'll get for doing anything in life, especially in Ireland, guys, the hate is just, it's on a different level. I couldn't give a bollocks. You know, I didn't give a shit, guys. My confidence is always at 100 because I have a brother and shit. You know, and we talk all the time. When you have supreme confidence in another man next to you, another masculine man, you can never be faded by anything, guys. Nothing fades you. But if you guys are, you know, relying on, you know, I don't know, girlfriends or women or whatever, if you guys are relying on people that don't have your back, okay, then you're screwed, man. But these two guys have each other's backs. They try and drive you apart. They hate that. They call you gay. They call you all this shit, guys, right? They hate male camaraderie. And it's one of the greatest things in the world. When you have strong guys around you, oh man, you can just rule the world. You know, it's basically how the world was ruled before, you know, the nerds got in charge. You know what I mean? Now it's all revenge of the nerds. You know what I mean? And just, you know, but they can't actually do anything to you. So then they use words and they try and, you know, like I said, they try and tarnish his name. They call him a flipping this. They call him a that. That's what they do, guys. They try and tarnish your name because they're just losers. Nobody will ever know them in history, but everybody will forever remember Trump and Elon. You know what I mean? That's how it is, guys. You know, the heroes are remembered forever. The losers, the cowards, they're forgotten in history, guys. You know, number 35, that's what you're remembered as.
And I say, it's just so obvious. They're so bad at it. I used to think they were good at it. They're actually bad at it, because if they were good at it, I'd never be president. Because I think nobody in history has ever gotten more bad publicity than me. I could do the greatest things. I get 98% bad publicity. I could do, outside of you and a few of your very good friends, it's like the craziest thing. But you know what I have learned, Elon? The people are smart. They get it.
Yeah, they do, actually.
They get it. They really see what's happening.
Yes.
And at the end of this interview,
the truth always comes out, guys. The truth, you know, can never not come to light. It always comes out. When the shit is stirred and the bullshit is happening in society, it doesn't stay like that, guys. The truth comes out to the top, and then you look back, you're like, holy shit, that's what was going on? Crazy stuff.
I want people to know the relationship and know more about you. What is the relationship, Mr. President?
Well, I respect him. I've always respected him. I never knew that he was right on certain things, and I'm usually pretty good at this stuff. He did Starlink. He did things that were so advanced and nobody knew what the hell they were. I can tell you in North Carolina, they had no communication. They were wiped out. Those people were, you know, they had rivers in between. Land that never saw water, all of a sudden it was a river and a vicious, like rapids. People were dying all over. They had no communication. They said, you know Elon Musk? They didn't really know I knew him. And I said, yeah. He said, could you get Starlink? It's like the first time I ever heard of it. I said, what's Starlink? A communication system. That's unbelievable.
I have it.
Yeah.
I recommend everybody in Ireland get Starlink. I'm actually going to get it this year. It's phenomenal, you know, and I think it's going to take over all of the, you know, the broadband and the fiber optic in the world. Starlink is amazing.
And he said, I called him and I said, listen, they really need it. And he got like thousands of units of this communication, and it saved a lot of lives. He got it immediately, and you can't get it. I mean, you have to wait a long time to get it. But he got it to him immediately, and I said, that's pretty amazing, and I didn't even know he had it. We watched the rocket ships, and we watch Tesla. I think, you know, something that had an effect on me was when I saw the rocket ship come back and get grabbed, like you grab a beautiful little baby. You grab your baby. It just
hug the rocket.
I've never seen
everyone. Everything needs a hug, including rockets.
No, but and he said, you know, you can't really have a rocket program if you're going to dump $1 billion into the ocean every time you fly. You have to save it. Right. And he saved it. First time that I've ever seen that done.
That's a good point.
And nobody else can do it. If you look at the U.S., Russia, or China, they can't do it, and they won't be able to do it for a long time. He has the technology. So you learn. I wanted somebody really smart to work with me in terms of the country, a very important aspect. Because, I mean, he doesn't talk about it. He's actually a very good businessman. And when he talks about the executive orders, and this is probably true for all presidents, you write an executive order and you think it's done. You send it out. It doesn't get done. It doesn't get implemented. They don't implement it. Maybe they're from the last administration, and they are in some cases. You try and get them out as fast as you can. But as soon as he said that, I said, that's interesting. You write a beautiful executive, and you sign it, and you assume it's going to be done, but it's not. What he does is he takes it, and with his 100 geniuses, he's got some very brilliant young people working for him that dress much worse than him, actually.
Yeah,
they dress in just T-shirts. You wouldn't know they have 180 IQ.
Wait a minute. So he's your tech support.
No, he is.
I actually
but
literally
he's
am
much
tech
more
support.
than that.
I literally am tech support, though. But
he gets it done. He's a leader.
Yeah.
He really is. He gets it done. You get a lot of tech people, and you have people that are good with tech, but he gets it done. I said in real estate, you had guys that would draw beautiful renderings of a building, and they'd draw the rendering. It would be great, and you say, great, when are you starting? But they were never able to get it built. They couldn't get the financing. They couldn't get the approvals. It would never get done. And then you have other guys that are able to get it done. They could just get it done. I was in real estate. Same thing in this. He gets it done. So when he said that, he said, when you sign these executive orders, a lot of them don't get done, and maybe the most important ones. And he would take that executive order that I'd sign, and he would have those people go to whatever agency it was. When are you doing it? Get it done. Get it done. And so
that's a good one, because just because you sign something in writing doesn't mean anything gets done, right? It's just like people think that writing means everything. It's not. Like, you have to, hey man, start working on this straight away. You know what I mean? The effort needs to be put in.
Some guy that maybe didn't want to do it, all of a sudden he's signing. He just doesn't want to be bothered.
Do a lot of those executive orders have to be codified into law? Do you need the Republican Congress
and
to
they
follow
will be.
up?
A lot of them will be. Yeah.
They will.
But look, in the meantime, we have 4 years. The beauty is we have 4 years. That's why I like doing it right at the beginning, because an executive order is great. I mean, the one problem, it's both good and bad. Because when they did all these executive orders, I've canceled most of them. They were terrible. I mean, we're going to go radical left communist. Okay, it was crazy. Their executive orders were so bad. If they ever got them codified, you'd never be able to break them. So the damage that Biden has done to this country, and it's not even Biden, it's the people that circled him in the Oval Office, okay? But the damage they did to this country, in terms of, let's say, open borders, there's so many things, but open borders, where millions of people poured into our country, and hundreds of thousands of those people are criminals. They're murderers, they're drug dealers, they're gang members, they're people from prisons from all over the world. And we have a great guy, Tom Homan, and he is doing so incredibly. You saw the numbers, they're down like 96%.
95%.
He is a phenomenal guy. And Kristi Noem is doing an unbelievable job. And he wanted her, he said, she's so tough. And I said, I don't think of her as that way. She's very nice. He said, no, she's so tough. And she is. I see with the horses, she's riding the horse. Let's go. She's great. But the team we have is really unbelievable. But
yeah, their team, this administration, I mean, compared to even last time was a bit shy. I think Trump's administration last time was still not that great. This time is just like unbelievable. It's just like cutting everything. Like
those executive orders, I sign them. And now they get passed on to him and his group and other people, and they're all getting done. We're getting them done.
Let me go back a little bit to your background, because it's beyond impressive. You were the chief engineer, for example. You were an early believer in Tesla. You became the CEO, and then the chief engineer, which was phenomenal. SpaceX, same thing, which is unbelievable. I mean, you were the first private company to send astronauts successfully into space. First private company to send astronauts into orbit.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep.
He's going to go into orbit soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, he's going to go to Mars. He's
Starlink.
At some point.
Huh?
Yeah.
Is in over.
They always ask me, like, do you want to die on Mars? And I say, well, yes, but not on impact.
Yeah, not on impact, not crash landing. Okay. I get it. That's fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, he's going to go to Mars. He's
Starlink.
At some point.
Huh?
Yeah.
Is in over.
They always ask me, like, do you want to die on Mars? And I say, well, yes, but not on impact.
Starlink is in 100 countries. This is going to be hard. I feel like.
Bro, how can you not like these? These guys are just charismatic. They're funny. They're just joking around. You know what I mean? I don't know what the hatred is. Just the vitriol is just. I've never seen anything like it. It's like the more I talk about this shit, the more hate. It's just unbelievable. You know, a true man hates nobody. You know, it's unbelievable. I don't know why you're hating on these people.
I'm interviewing two brothers here.
You go ahead.
Star Shield, which could be used for national defense.
Yeah, it is already being used for national defense.
Then you have what is it called? Optimus, a part of Tesla.
The robot, yeah.
A robotic arm. Then you have an AI arm. And then you have something that really fascinated me, and it's called Neuralink.
Yes.
You might help the blind to see,
yes,
and people with spinal cord injuries, that they can recover, where in the past, how close is that to becoming a success?
Neuralink, we've implanted Neuralink in 3 patients so far who are quadriplegics, and it allows them to directly control their phone and computer just using their mind, just by thinking. It's like, so we call this product telepathy. So you control your
telepathy, come on, this is crazy.
Computer and phone just by thinking, and it's possible.
You control your phone just by thinking. Like, what the hell? This is just insane stuff.
To actually control the computer and phone faster than someone who has working hands. Then the next step would be to add a second Neuralink implant past the point where the neurons are damaged, so that somebody can walk again, and so they can have full body functionality restored. And
you like Bobby, right?
I like Bobby, actually, yeah. I think I supported Bobby Kennedy. I think he's unfairly maligned as someone who is anti-science, but I think he isn't. He just wants to question the science, which is the essence of the science, the scientific method.
Yeah, that's the good thing about science, guys, is to question it. You know, if the shit is good or bad science, like you want to know what the hell, if it's working or not.
Fundamentally is about always questioning the science.
Well, they didn't tell us the truth about COVID.
Correct.
That's for sure.
Yes.
And we learned a lot with the Twitter files. And that just then raises a question. You're the richest man in the world. You may not like that part. You're pretty competitive.
It's neither here nor there.
I've known you a long time. But
that's why.
But he's on your team.
President.
Well, that's true. He can't top that.
He's good. You know, I wanted to find somebody smarter than him. I searched all over. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
You really tried hard.
I couldn't find anyone smarter, right? So we had it for the country.
But this is the thing.
We settled on this.
Well, thanks for having me.
So,
I'm just trying to be useful.
But this is the interesting. This is where we are as a society, and I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to do it anyway. You're doing all of these things. Nobody at Doge gets paid a penny, correct?
Well, actually, some people are federal employees.
Some are, okay.
Yeah,
they're helping.
But it's fair to say that the software engineers at Doge could be earning millions of dollars a year, and instead of earning a small fraction of that.
I think they should get paid more at Doge. That seems incredible. I mean, it seems like an incredible thing to cut funding, to cut spending, you know, fix the leaks.
Federal employees.
Okay, so
and they're very committed people.
So
yes.
You're committed to helping the blind see, people with spinal cord injuries recover.
Yes.
You're committed to getting to Mars. You're committed to rescue. You're going to help rescue next month 2 astronauts that I think were abandoned. They dispute that in an interview.
At the president's request, or instruction, we are accelerating the return of the astronauts, which was postponed, kind of to a ridiculous degree.
They got left in space.
They've been there. They were supposed to be there 8 days. They're there almost 300.
Biden.
They were yes, they were left up there for political reasons, which is not good.
Okay, it's not good.
They're left in space. Oh my God, rescue these astronauts, lads. Come on.
Now, if I had the weight of the pressure of doing that successfully on my shoulders, I think I'd be, you know. But when we spoke before we did this interview, you are very confident. You think this will be a successful mission.
Well, we don't want to be complacent, but we have brought astronauts back from the space station many times before, and always with success. Mm-hmm. So, as long as we're not complacent.
When are you going to launch?
I think it's about 4 weeks to bring them back.
Oh, I will definitely be monitoring that. That's sick. So they're going to try and do a rescue mission for these astronauts. Wow, that's insane. Literally on a different planet than us, lads. Come on.
4 weeks.
We got to catch up.
Yeah. And
we're being extremely cautious. Yeah.
You now have the go-ahead.
Yes, well, thanks to you.
They didn't have the go-ahead with Biden.
What's that?
He was going to leave him in space. I think he was going to leave him in space.
Well, it's like when we were growing up, lost in space.
Yeah, he didn't want the publicity. Can you believe it?
Unbelievable. And so,
yeah.
I want to...
He didn't want the publicity of, like, astronauts potentially dying in space? What's that about? Why?
Echo something that the president said and then ask an overarching question. So people get hit with Hurricane Helene, they have no communication with the outside world. You come to the rescue, you donated that, I believe?
Yes.
Okay. You donated to the people.
He saved a lot of lives in North Carolina. He saved a lot of lives.
And
saved a lot of people, donated to that. You know, he brought in Starlink to North Carolina as well, so people could access the internet. You know what I mean? You need Wi-Fi for everything now. Starlink was sent up to North Carolina. Amazing.
California after the wildfires?
California, but I mean in North Carolina where they were really in trouble, they had no communication. People were dying. They were dying of starvation. He saved a lot of lives in North Carolina.
Okay, crazy. Now you're going to rescue astronauts. And now, and again, you do all of this. I would think liberals would love the fact that you have the biggest electric vehicle company in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be adored by the left, you know.
Yeah, not anymore.
Less so these days.
He killed that, huh?
I mean, less so.
I really didn't know.
Well, I mean, this whole sort of like, you know, they call it like Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, Trump derangement syndrome, guys. Like, they used to love Elon Musk because all his stuff is left wing, in my opinion. Like, I think Elon Musk is a pretty left wing guy as it is, guys. You know, he is all electric. He loves the environment. He's I mean, you know, he has, what is it, like flipping a massive like 12, 13 kids. You know, he's not in a singular marriage, which is like a more conservative ideal, right? He has like flipping 5 baby mamas and like 12 kids type shit, you know. He's like flipping, you know, the dude is flipping. I thought he was left wing, but and also he loves video games. He's like a kind of a tech nerd. That's more left wing than more conservative, in my opinion. So like he has basically his whole persona is left wing, but the left wing hate him. I truly am just. My mind is boggled, lads. I just don't get it, like.
And I don't, you don't realize how real this is until like you can't reason with people. So like I was at a friend's birthday party in LA, just a birthday dinner, and it was like a nice, quiet dinner, and everyone was behaving normally. And then I happened to mention, this is before the election, like a month or two before. I happened to mention the president's name. And it was like they got shot with a dart in the jugular that contained like methamphetamine and rabies, okay? And they're like, wow! And I'm like, what is wrong? Like, guys, like, you can't have like a normal conversation.
Yeah.
And
people just get triggered. It's literally like, you know that meme like triggered like, no! Like that meme? That flipping really cringy like, no! That meme. Yeah, that's like a flipping, it's a crazy syndrome for sure. I get the bodybuilding vibes off them. They have a can-do attitude. Absolutely, these guys have a can-do. We can get it done. I like people like that, guys. I like guys that are like, let's get it done, confident. You know, let's do this shit. You know, no sort of quarrels. You know, the little bitches and shit, they just get left behind, guys. I don't like that attitude, man. It just sucks. You know.
It's like it's like they become completely irrational.
He has no.
Everybody nowadays is completely irrational. You can't even have a logical conversation without people get overly emotional about stuff. It's just crazy. It's crazy, man. The emotion's just insane.
No idea, but if you're friends with him, you pay a price. You know, it's like I walk in a restaurant in New York and it's like half the room gets daggers and they want to.
No, the eye daggers level is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like I had like some invitation because I got invited to like basically a big sort of damn event like. That was, but I received the invitation like the beginning of last year, and I still attended even after I'd endorsed President Trump, and I didn't realize how profoundly that would affect, you know, how I was received. I mean, I walk into the room and I'm getting just the dirty looks from everyone. Like if looks could kill, I would have been dead several times over.
But that was not before Trump.
It's crazy.
Like ashes on the floor.
Before Trump, that never happened, right?
No.
Insane, guys. Anyway, if you support people, apparently they hate you. Let me know your thoughts. I'm gonna leave it right there. Every time I do these live streams, I really appreciate everybody. You know, I get more views each time, so I really appreciate the support. I think we're up to 20 people viewing at a time. I think that only got beat by my, you know, before the election live stream, which had like 45 people, but 20 people. Lads, I couldn't ask for anything more. I really appreciate the love and support, guys. If you guys want to support me as well, become a member of the channel. It's super cheap. You get added to a group chat. You know, there's some cool perks there, so I'll be able to keep up with people on WhatsApp, okay, in the group chat. And also, there's just some cool kind of perks for becoming a member of the channel, and you help support me. I can't do it without you all. I love you all so much. Also, check out the merch. Check out my, of course, how can I forget, guys, my Patreon. I have like 200 blocked videos there as well. Yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you. Hopefully, I'll be live streaming at least once a week. I'll be doing at least once or twice a week. It's just, yeah, I just have to do so many videos as well on top of it, and I have to do personal training, Instagram shit as well. So, yeah, busy.